Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jeanette Cooper. Wait, no, it's live. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jeanette Cooper Bryant with Legal Representation. It was in my heart that we should do something this year. During the beginning of the year, I normally do a fast, a spiritual cleanse fast. I changed my diet, and I thought this year, let's do something different. Let's actually talk about anti-aging and how it's going to help us focus on longevity. So this panel that I have here is very specific because I wanted to tap into the spiritual, physical, mental part of aging, okay? I have Dr. Dana Cooper here with us. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, Dr. Dana Cooper is a chiropractor in functional medicine. Go ahead.
Yep, that's right. She covered a whole lot of it. But, I'm a chiropractor and certified functional medicine practitioner. My clinic is in DeLand, Florida, but I also treat holistic medicine virtually as well.
Great. All right. We got Yannette Turner, who is an esthetician, and she's going to talk about her services in the beauty spa.
Thank you. I agree with Dr. Cooper. She covered everything. Hello. My name is Yannette Turner. I do own a spa here in Florida County. I have been an esthetician since 2015. I offer all skin services, microdermabrasions, chemical peels, facials, anti-aging.
Making and I want to have fun with this because we're going to come back to that question too.
Yeah,
we're going to have fun with this, okay? I want to talk about anti-aging and longevity-focused care because I know our medical model does not tap into some of the new advancements in technology. Like we do a lot of lymphatic drainage, different things, peptide therapy. You do functional medicine, talk about diet, exercise, nutrition, different aspects of anti-aging. So I wanted to really dive into it to help everyone to understand that you have options outside of your insurance plan. Did you know that? Anybody know that? Let's have fun with this.
Raise your hand if you know that.
Because you do have options outside of your insurance plan. Your insurance plan is not going to teach you how to be young. Did you know that?
No.
So let's make this interactive.
That's not the job.
That's not a job. That's not a job because what we do is big pharma. So anyways, I have a moderator here that's going to volunteer and ask a few questions and get some engagements. And if the audience have anything specific that they want to ask in addition to that question, maybe put your hand up, okay? Let us know. All right, let's have fun with this.
All right, here's the first question. What is your understanding of anti-aging treatments and how do they support overall wellness?
Okay, do we have a volunteer? Anyone want to hit it first?
I'll start. Here we go.
All right.
I have a motto: look good, feel good, do good. That's my thing. When I tell people, I'm like, if you just don't feel good, if you feel like, oh, my skin feels saggy, like I just feel like all these fine lines, all these wrinkles, all that, you're not going to be like, oh, your best self. Right. So to me, that's how I kind of like it. And it's a 2-part job. Like you can come in, but I'm not a coworker. I will do what I can with these pens, but it's also on you. But I find like a lot of people when they come in, it's kind of like a therapy session sometimes because they're just like, I hit 40. It's, and I just feel like all this just, I just don't feel good. So you're not going to want to go out and be your best self internally. Right. So that's how I feel like, anti-aging. And for me, it's more prevention.
Can you really prevent aging?
Well, you can't, but you can be proactive.
Okay.
Proactive. That's what I meant. More proactive. Prevention's going to be, you can't. It's, there's hereditary, there's all that stuff that goes into it, right? But you can be proactive, because at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, we're not coming back. So why not live your best life and make yourself feel best on the inside and it being, looking good on the outside, that all goes hand in hand.
So I want to kind of break it down a little bit differently. Aging. When I think about the process of aging, I'm thinking about getting older. cellular death. We're talking about decline in the growth in your cellular levels. What's going on inside of your hormones? Something's happening and it's a shift. Your metabolism changes. You start gaining weight. Different things happen to you as you age. It's a process. But you don't develop those healthy growth hormones, those cells that are necessary to keep you sustaining. So I think about aging as a process of dying in some kind of way in cellular death and organ failure. So then people start to experience certain disease processes. So the reason why I did this is because I like prevention. I like to focus on what can we do and what conversations can we have that is going to help promote healing and internal longevity focus. How can we live longer is the question. What can I do today at 20, at 30 to live longer and to reduce those diseases that come in my body that we know that's going to come? As a medical provider, we go to medical training and we learn that we have to do preventative screenings at the age of 50. Anybody in here had a colonoscopy at the age of 50? Put your hand up. Anybody in here have breast exams at the age of 40? Okay, there's a reason for that. Do you know why? The reason is because medical science already knows, because of what we've been exposed to, that we're probably going to develop some cancerous cells. So with that being said, if I tell you to come in at the age of 40, get a breast screening, I'm already telling you, you've already been predispositioned to this. So we're going to see if you have those markers in there. Okay. Now there's gene testing that they do, different things now out in the market that says, let's get a grip on it before 40. Let's do some blood testing. Dr. Cooper, do you want to expand? Because I know you do testing as well.
Yep. So I agree with a lot of what they're saying, because the approach when we're talking about anti-aging, what we're really saying is slowing down the aging process or stopping a rapid aging process, which typically comes in when we've got toxins in the bodies or in our body. Typically comes in when our cells are breaking down, causing disease. And so my model, I always approach that specific area that's failing first. So a lot of times we have this perception that we have to add something to get something when it comes to health. And oftentimes in my model, I'm looking to see what I can get rid of that's costing me my health. And so sometimes it's the toxins in the environment, sometimes the things that we eat. And it can be stress. And so if we can start by removing the traumas and injuries to ourselves, after that phase is when I really start considering, hey, what are some of these things that maybe we're predisposed to genetically? We do genetic testing as part of my practice. We also do testing on your mitochondria, right, which deals with how well your cells are functioning. And just like what she said, cells, they have a lifespan. That lifespan is already predetermined. What can we do, right, to have a influence on it in a negative and or a positive way?
Yes.
So my approach is typically going to the source, thereafter identifying the possible screening tests that we can do.
And it's very specific for each individual person, and looking at your familial history as well. The word is called apoptosis. Apoptosis is cellular death. Basically, when we see that those cells die, do they come back? Do they regenerate? What happens is with our environment, we find that a lot of times that we're exposed to germs, pathogens, diseases, toxins, all kind of stuff. And our environment, water we drink, it could be chemicals from your house, anything. It's the study of epigenesis is what we study. And it's kind of different. It's a different model because we're like, what can we do to support or reduce some of the risks that you are exposed to with the environment? Isn't that correct, Dr. Cooper?
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Oh, by the way, I just want to say some of the things, and I want audience participation on this particular one. Can you tell me some of the symptoms of aging? Each one should be able to give me one. Skin starts to lose collagen.
We lose 5% every year of our muscle.
Yeah, muscle, weight gain, What about
Yeah.
muscle mass? What about bone density?
To the men.
Anybody here have some bone density issues? After menopause? Has it hit you? Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Okay, yeah.
That gray hair.
Yeah.
I have to embrace
What
that
about your
after.
thinking and your cognitive? What about that light bulb? You don't think the way you do. You don't memorize things the way you used to. And what about that word fatigue? Fatigue. I'm just tired. Think about little Ezra, my 3-year-old. He's all over the place, huh?
He's got no issue with fatigue. His cells are young.
His cells are young. He's still producing good, healthy stuff that we just don't produce anymore.
That's why when we look at kids, we're like, if we had inch
A little
of
bit.
energy
Yeah,
that they had, that we could just take from them.
I wish. I wish. All right. Next question.
Right.
How does your services impact longevity and anti-aging care?
So I'll go first. Kind of on the tail end of what I was just mentioning, we offer a variety of services that are diagnostic services. So first, we want to identify what are the things that a person may be living with. And a lot of times it comes back to looking at their basic lab work first. After that, we do functional screening. Has anybody heard of functional tests? So functional tests, there's two ways to explain this. One, functional tests are going to look at your lab work and your assessments with a lot more detail. I'll give you an example. I have some patients who get a stool analysis, which may look for C. diff, it may look for H. pylori, maybe parasites. The stool analysis that I order, we're looking for 300 different bacterium.
Oh, wow.
And we're comparing the balance of the bacteria. So that's why I say functional assessments are a little bit more detailed. The other parts of that, when we're looking at your basic lab work, we want to see you in a tighter reference range. We're not going to wait until you get to end stage or the beginning stage of disease to start a protocol for you. And so when we do these things, we find that is a very good mode of prevention and a good way of helping people to slow down the aging process.
Wow. So with Vita Lift Infusion, I offer a whole variety of services. First of all, I'm board certified family nurse practitioner. So of course, pharmaceutical, I can give you a prescription. Okay, it's not a problem. I don't always run to the prescription because there's side effects. So when it comes to peptide therapy, that's kind of supporting what you already have in your body. So you're not going to get as many side effects. However, if you know things like metformin, which is an anti-aging medication, I don't know if you guys know this. Metformin is anti-aging, and semaglutide, GLP-1, is a anti-aging medication. Now, with that being said, that's not stopping your body or working against your body, but it's working with the receptors that's already currently in your body. So what we're learning and what's different about me is I'm trying to learn about the receptors and how our body responds and the mitochondria and the RNA synthesis and how we can get that to develop into a brand new signal in there. That's what I'm trying to do. So in my practice, I do lymphatic drainage, okay? And this is to help you detox some of that. I don't know if you ever feel pre-auricular and post-auricular, these lymph nodes behind here and everything. And if you feel it, it may be big and you're like, okay, what's going on? Some kind of inflammatory response. The whole thing about anti-aging is to reduce the inflammatory response and help promote good positive signaling to your brain, from your gut to your brain. Gut, brain. You lose it over time because of some of the nasty foods you eat, like McDonald's and all these nitrates and all these different things that we do to our body. We actually abuse our body in a lot of ways with some of the stuff that we eat and ingest. And think about it, the pesticides. What do the pesticides do? I eat an apple, I got pesticides, I'm eating it every day, it's building up toxicity. Okay. So that's one thing that I do. I do RF, which is radio frequency, which is the red beam light. Most people know about that. Weight from it. It kind of spills out all that triglycerides outside of the cell. Cell is like this. I shrink it to this, and it leaks out all this triglyceride. You got to drink plenty of water to help detox and get it out. Now, a lot of the vitamins that I give are water soluble vitamins. Okay, that means that you pee it out. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are understanding that those pills that people were taking in these big packs, I used to think, are you crazy? You take 50 vitamins a day? Well, guess what? I'm doing it now. Menopause hit me and it says, oh, you require a lot of it. And you can tell when your body needs this stuff. However, you're only getting 25% absorption when you're taking it orally. So therefore, I give you the option of getting 100% absorption through the infusions and injections, okay? So if you do injectable B12, you're going to get it. You're going to get instant feedback, okay? It's going to go from the gut to the brain, going to help you open up that light bulb, make you think better and make you feel better, give you more energy, help you with fatigue. Because as you get older, you actually do not produce a lot of B12. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, and you also lose the intrinsic factor
The
in your
intrinsic,
stomach,
yes.
which is integral for you to be able to actually break down B12. So a lot of times people can be deficient in B12, which stays in your system for a long time. If it's in the system, it's good. Our issue is getting in there and breaking it down. So if your stomach is in a bad place, you're going to be popping capsules all day and not get enough B12.
By the way, if you guys want to grab a charcuterie snack or something, you can grab that while we're talking. I just want to relax, enjoy yourself. And if you have questions, please participate. I also am offering a new therapy now, and it's CBD infusions. This is good. This is good because it's going to reduce the inflammatory markers and that word I told you, apoptosis. We're going to try to help keep your cells healthy inside your body and help with autoimmune responses. So if you have a autoimmune disease, or you may not even know you have autoimmune, a lot of times people don't know. Like I didn't know when you diagnosed me. You don't know it, but you're having something that you're questioning. Like I can give a personal, I was having a problem where I was wearing contacts for years. And I said, well, I can't wear contacts anymore.
Eyes was dry.
My eyes were so dry and it felt like it stuck to my eyeball and I couldn't get it out. And I was like, God, what am I going to do? Then I end up scratching my cornea doing that and said, no more. But I did not know that that was a problem. You see, our bodies tell us exactly what we need to know, but do we listen? Do we hear these signals? Do we really understand what the body needs for healing? Everybody is not the same. You know, where I could take a little bit of carbs and sugar, she may not be able to. But as we age too, protein becomes a very difficult thing to digest, especially females.
And that's why ignoring, because some people just are like, oh, it'll be fine. Yeah, like, it'll be fine. Especially we our men. Sorry, that's fine here. Well, too, but sorry, bro. Our guys, like I know I will say a whole husband, but getting him to go to the doctor, it's the guys like we ignore it. It'll be fine. It'll fix itself. Let the body rest. It'll heal. That's not always the case. You need to go and find out what's going on so you can be more proactive.
So there's some truth to our bodies could naturally heal. I don't know. I'm a very spiritual person. And God made this body to be able to heal. If you think about each cell that's in your body, God created the cell with a purpose, for a reason. Okay, so white blood cells do something, and your red blood cells do something. Everything has a purpose, pretty much. But the thing about it is, if we're constantly ignoring the signals in the body, and then something happens, and then we get this thing called diabetes and different things like that. Could we have done something to help promote good, healthy pancreas? Could we have done that? I mean, I just got a test kit the other day for type 1 genetic diabetes testing. Did you know that you don't have to be a youth to get type 1 diabetes? Yeah.
Yeah, it's early onset, right?
Yeah. you can get it right now. So there are testing that you can do. And there are, just to let you guys know, .org. And if you come into my clinic, I'm definitely gonna just go through a whole lot of stuff with you because I want to know what really is going on. If I ask you a million questions, there's a reason for it. Okay, are you smoking? What are you doing? Are you drinking? Or how much caffeine are you doing? These things contribute to disease process. So this is why I ask. Do you do this? Do you do that? What can we do? Can we change these factors? Are you going to start slowing down on these habits? I can't change it for you, but I'll help promote healing in you. Obesity is a big thing right now, and you can't do anti-aging treatments without focusing on obesity because everybody has a BMI over the normal. Yeah, they say you're supposed to be how big? 100 and maybe 12 pounds.
23.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
So I'm like 123 pounds. I don't think I'm going to be 123 pounds after having kids, but it sounds like a good idea.
Sounds like a goal.
Sounds lovely, but I don't know. So next question. Okay, I'll have. And, if you do have something you want to say, just
Hop in anywhere, please do. For the yeah, cool, right.
Well, I think it's just moving.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because I wanted it to be more of we kind of share some educational information for you so you'll understand about prevention. Okay, prevention is the focus here, right?
I have a question. So I noticed for the insurance, they normally say they have to go to the doctor. What do you recommend?
Oh, absolutely. Yearly, every 6 months, whatever they say you need to go because they already know your statistical data in your labs that something's going on. Your kidney function is not normal today. Do you think you want to ignore that for a whole year?
They're gonna want to see you in 6 months.
Cholesterol is bad. Do you think you just want to walk around with a bad cholesterol? You predisposition yourself for disease. So think about it. See an abnormal lab, there's something going on that we need to fix. Okay? All right.
All right. Are there environmental factors we can avoid to promote healthy aging?
I'll start. He looked right at me too. Like, you go ahead. You're the face girl. UV radiation. I know everybody hates sunscreen. Trust me, I get it. I get it all day long. But especially living here in Florida, I'm not saying by the 100 SPF. Honestly, anything over 30, and I know pricing wise how it looks. It gets expensive, right? Because there's 15, there's 30, there's 75, there's 100. I've been diagnosed with being allergic to the sun. If I'm out in the sun for too long, I rash, like from here down. My son's the same way, his whole entire back. We go on vacation, he's a 17-year-old. I'm like, get in a swim shirt. Do you think a 17-year-old boy wants to be in a swim shirt? No. But he has to. So highest SPF, 30, covers everything. Doesn't have to be that heavy, cakey one that makes you feel like you're sweating. That's why everybody hates SPF, because it feels like you're putting a layer of makeup on your face. You can find a lightweight one. If you're looking for one, I can find you one. Doesn't have to be from me. I can find it CVS, Walgreens, wherever.
Yeah.
Pollution, the world. That's why cleaning your face is it's so important. Like I tell people, I'm like, you don't have to have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things that you do every day. I don't want you to do that. That takes up too much time. When I get home from work, I'm a lamb. Nobody has time for that. As long as you cleanse off the day, moisturize. Because if you don't moisturize, your face is going to be dry and it's going to give you wrinkles, and nobody has time for that. Then we have to find somebody who does Botox. And what's really in that? Well, we're going to figure that out later on. Smoking. Yeah. Do we even have to touch on that? Right. Poor diet. What you put in is what you are. What they say, you are what you eat. Not to say that I don't eat poorly. Just starting juicing. I'm trying to be, new year, new me. Stress is another thing we do not think about. Stress will age you from the inside to the outside.
Mhm.
Now, we all like to have a good time. We all like to party, but over excessive alcohol, it dehydrates you. So that's going to dry you out. That's going to dry your hair out, your nails out. Now you're taking bites and trying to make up for all that. So those are my things.
Wow, you covered it.
Well, I like all of those. On the skin component too, there's a school of thought that says if you show me your skin, I'll show you what your stomach looks like, and vice versa. Because your skin, the type of tissue that it's made of, is very similar to your stomach. And so doesn't that mean your stomach's probably, or your gut, excuse me, doesn't that mean it's probably pretty sensitive, right? If your skin is sensitive,
Absolutely.
it takes on heat, and we throw a couple Scovilles in that, with some Chipotle. I got you. We throw a little bit of pepper in the system, and our gut is heat sensitive as well. And so one way to know how your gut is doing is to look at your face. If you're having major breakouts, starts in the gut. Another thing that we hadn't mentioned yet
Did
is
you say breakout?
breakouts.
Wow,
Basically.
that's a big first indicator.
Right, you know. Another thing.
You know, they say, okay, but are you saying there's a possibility that they don't have to have the skin breakout?
There's a possibility it could be mediated. Absolutely.
With diet, probably cutting out your fried foods, your greasy stuff. Maybe
And then
some-
something that you mentioned before about that too is healthy hygiene routines.
Yes.
Changing the pillowcase. Right?
Yeah.
That's a very big thing for young boys. Young boys aren't thinking about changing the pillowcase,
I do tell my acne clients that because they don't think about it, but you're laying on there and the oils from all day is on there. And then you get up, you go to school, you play football, you play basketball, and then you lay back down, and then that's it right there, just right there on the face.
Or just like you said, just walking in the world.
Yeah, just being
Not
outside.
even going to football and basketball practice.
Florida in the summer.
Another thing I don't want to skip is plastics. So there's a reason plastics became so popular. And a lot of what we deal with deals with convenience, right? Most of what we deal with deals with convenience. And plastics happen to be a very convenient product to harvest and to manufacture. However, when plastic hits the sun, you guys are starting to notice those things on the bottle. It says no what? BPA. What else?
Mhm.
Anything else? There's a lot of other chemicals that we're identifying. Every 10 years, there's another chemical on the market to supplant the last chemical. And so I have a classic distrust for plastic because I know just because they took the BPA out, they actually put something else in the meantime. And it may take 10 years to identify what that product is doing to us. We know that plastic.
Died
Mm.
because of drinking overheated water bottles from her car.
Yeah. Plastic, it emits endocrine disruptors. And so if you're a person who's dealing with menopause, like what you were saying, if you're a person who's dealing with thyroid issues, if you're a person, insulin is a hormone. If you're a person who's dealing with any of these things in your glandular system, thyroid, pancreas, any of these places, parotid glands, you've got to get off of plastics because they emit what's called estrogenoids, or it's a fake version of estrogen is what they're giving you. And so you may think, hey, they've got me on the pill. A lot of times they'll put people on estrogen, and they're trying to control your cycle and things like that. And then later on down the line, because your liver could not get rid of it because of the toxicity, now we look at things like breast cancers, right?
It's true.
And your liver is responsible for breaking down the extra estrogen in your system. And so if you've got a fatty liver going on and you're drinking a bunch of plastic, your liver cannot choose. So this is the toxic cycle that we're in.
We're toxic people. So I want to go into the hormones because you mentioned about the estrogen. So I'm kind of going through what we call menopause. Menopause is where you lose your estrogen, right? Well, we think that we typically lose estrogen. Well, we do, but
Gets caught in the muscle,
it's
in the fat cells. Yeah.
And so it's there, but it's not where it should be. Okay. And it causes an ugly appearance in our skin. with the teenagers and the younger people that get the acne and stuff, and they put them on hormone therapy, there is a risk. I mean, because you're talking about long-term effect of cancer and, you know, clots, cardiovascular disease. I mean, there's so much stuff that can happen to you if you don't balance off your hormones correctly. And it's interesting that some kids don't start their cycle at 13 and 14. I had a girl who was about 18 years old, never had a cycle. And we was like, oh boy, we better check your levels. We checked her levels and she had no estrogen. So we was like, okay, we got to fix this. We were thinking in terms of maybe it was a tumor that was suppressing it, keeping her from, see how disease, we find diseases just based upon numbers and labs. Let's talk about the eating of McDonald's and not being able to digest it. If you look at a hamburger from McDonald's, if you left it on the table, how long will it take for it to rot? I don't mean to scare y'all.
Is it super sexy?
Yes.
Yes.
I want you to think about the bread that you had. How long does bread last now?
Couple days.
What? No, months and months and months. Remember, bread used to rot like quick.
It would get mold.
Yeah,
Yes.
it don't look like that no more. You can have bread for a while.
It don't mold like it used to.
It don't mold like it used to. What are we putting into our food?
Well, I wanna, can I suggest the opposite?
Mhm.
Because in the insurance industry, you know, the maximum age for living used to be 100. Now it's past that.
Yes, it is.
I personally, I don't have proof of it, is that the preservatives that's in the food is slowly mummifying the human body.
That's very possible.
That's
I did have some embalming. I used to do a lot of embalming fluid in my but artificial sweetener. I would drink the coffee and drink it with that artificial sweetener, and that's it for what? It really is. Did you know that?
It's also.
And when I stopped doing it, I start feeling better. I was like, wait a minute. Anybody here drink coffee and go to sleep?
Oh, there's that.
Think about it. Think about it. What are we doing? What signals are we bringing to our body to adapt to what we're eating that's causing something wrong? That's not right. That's not normal to have caffeine and go to sleep. So something's wrong. We've actually ingested so much caffeine to we're desensitized. We're tolerance is up. Like we can just drink caffeine all day and night. It's no big deal, right? But I can tell you when I was doing that artificial sweetener, but I didn't know what was going on. I was like, I feel like something wrong here. Something was wrong. I was causing a lot of toxicity to my body. And I felt like the energy was going. So how do we start to get our children to detoxify? Because if our kids are not going to the bathroom every day, is that normal?
No.
And if they're not doing what we did when we were kids and we ran outside and played and sweat, what are we doing to our kids?
They're stuck inside on the game saying, let's go.
So what's going on with, go ahead.
I have a question
Sure.
when it comes to the hormones of young girls.
Mhm.
So it was different. Of course, when I was younger, I started my cycle at 12.
Right, that's
And
normal.
now, like, the girls were starting at 8.
8, 9,
7,
Yeah.
7, and always like that.
environment.
How to combat as far as with the hormones, because there's a lot of things that are going on. I opted out of giving my daughter any type of hormone pills to balance her cycle because of heavy flow.
Right.
And that's something where I just was saying, what type of remedy would you encourage me to do?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question. Here's the truth. You got to get them to be active, number one.
Mhm.
They have to be active and be sweating and detoxifying their system. Number two, they've got to change the diet. You got to learn this stuff early. You can't wait until you turn 50 to start doing, oh, I'm gonna become vegan at 50.
Right.
No, you start teaching them early to really balance it off because the protein and the estrogen, they kind of work together. Like you can't get rid of it. Like it's in your system. All that fat in your system, it's putting a wrong message inside the body and you're holding on to it. Like now, I'm like, we gaining weight because of the estrogen loss and whatever. We got to balance things off early so that in the future they stand a better chance.
Okay.
Okay.
I also believe too, exactly what you're saying too. They've got to get active because the more they're moving around, those cramps aren't going to be as bad in hydration.
So we do all of that.
What about a good balanced diet? What about the calcium and the right kind of calcium, not the pus that people drink? Did I just say that?
Yes.
Straight.
And
It's literally pus. I'm like, we produce, everybody produces their own white cells and pus. We protein our own, but I think of it as pus. You're drinking cow's milk? Really?
Yeah.
Is that good for you? Should you?
As I don't know.
Soy milk? I mean, what are you doing? So we really got to start tuning into what we're eating and become more conscious of it. And Dr. Cooper, I really wanted you to talk to them about that part of it because it's very important. And you've been on this mission for a while.
Yeah, a long time. So something that I loosely mentioned before was it's called the principle of the toxic load. And there are key things that sometimes we don't think about that we're getting toxins from. We talked about some of the things with the plastics and stuff like that. Everybody in this room is dealing with something that they feel like, well, why isn't my sister dealing with this? Or why isn't he or she dealing with this? Why do I have to? Some people have to run 5 miles to maintain their health. Some people have to drink, copious amount of water on a day-to-day basis to not have cramps. Okay. And that's just simply said. And everybody has a different toxic load. You have to identify the source. You have to really, really focus. Okay. Are there power plants that I'm living really, really close to? What is the soil like in my neighborhood? What's the water like in my neighborhood? Did you know that each municipality, you're able to look up the quality of your water per your zip code, and you can find all of the pathogens, all of the bad metabolites. You can find the higher propensities of cancers, right? And so that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes we don't really spend a lot of time identifying the chronic source, what's actually causing the issue. Okay. Now, if you don't find that to be the case, there are some people who just have genetic disadvantages, but that does not mean that we still have to work just as hard to manage our toxic load, because the more we manage all of the other toxins, what we put in our hair, right? Not putting bad chemicals in it. Because guess what? What you put in your skin will get within. All of these things, they add up. And so when we look at it that way as a problem of addition, then we start to subtracting things. And maybe your daughter wouldn't be taking, the full amount of the recommended drug, maybe just a part of it. So that's my approach.
It's very important. And he didn't mention to you early identification of allergic reactions to certain things that we eat. How many times you hear people say, I'm allergic to shellfish or fish, and later I'm allergic? And you probably was allergic to it a long time ago, but you never did anything about it. So then over time, it just becomes a big major problem and you have cell death and organ failure. I mean, I have a friend in here, maybe she's not in here, strawberries and tomatoes. Who's that? You?
No, I'm lettuce, lettuce, garlic, soy.
Garlic. Garlic. Who's allergic to garlic though? Come on, now. You see what I'm saying? And I think it's strawberry. But if she probably would have identified that early in life, maybe cancer would not have been the question. Maybe that wouldn't have been the issue. You see what I'm saying? You're going all your life exposed to these inflammatory markers in your body. You're working against it. It's going to kill your organs to fail eventually, or you're going to get cancer. And we talk about epigenesis. What can we do? We know that you have genetic markers in your body. We know that there are DNA strands. We know that there's a need for collagen, protein, and glucoproteins, I think it is. But you need these things for the polymers to develop to healthy strand. I mean, we have these genetic codes, and I'm looking at it, it's like it's in my head. And I'm looking at it, it's like your family. My mama got this, and my dad got this, and then we're looking at it. We're like, okay, how is that sequencing going? What's going on? How is this? How is this gonna? How can we change the way that that code is receiving that message that's causing that disease? What can I do? These are very specific things that I talk about as different. Like what I like about my clinic, I don't have to go through your insurance. I can do what I want to do when I want to do. And I'm just saying it. I can order you a lab. You can go for a CT. You ain't got to go for an abdominal x-ray. You can go for a CT scan. If we thinking that you got cancer, seriously, we can go and figure it out right away. But do you want to pay the cash to do it? That's another thing. A lot of times people don't want to do it. And I do. Yeah, and I do have people who have autoimmune disorders that come to me, right? And my brother's one of them. He has supposed to have MS, and the doctors are very impressed because of the treatments that I'm giving him. It's just vitamins, the essentials, just what your body needs, okay, for healing. It helps those signals go into the body and say, okay, we're gonna fight. We're gonna fight hard. We're gonna keep this from happening. Do you want to say something?
She did.
Oh.
Oh, no. I was like, oh. So I noticed that you were talking about the allergies and like when you discover that you have an allergy, what do you suggest? If it's been something you've been taking the whole time, you never knew you had a problem, and then all of a sudden you have something.
Okay, so here's my suggestion. First of all, moms, when you first have your baby, please don't give them every food under the sun. Start with a little bit, work your way up. See how that baby's responding. Is that baby going to the bathroom normal? Is it normal? Or are they constipated? What's going on with the baby? Look at the baby. Is the baby colic? Is the baby hurting? What's going on? Okay. Then what I would suggest, if you see the skin breakout, that's the first indicator. Get them to the doctor. Well, I know we say we can't test them until they turn 2, but honestly, you need to get that done. You need to get those allergy testing done, and you need to be serious about it. And don't think that if you do it one time, that's it. No, you do it again, because later in life, you're developing these allergies. So don't take it for granted. Your body tells you God created the body to do what it's supposed to do. Listen to it. I got a headache. Is that normal? No, it's not normal. Listen to your body. I got a fever. Is that normal? No, it's not normal. I'm thirsty all the time. Is that normal? Absolutely not. I'm not peeing enough. Listen to your body. It's telling you exactly what you need to know. You just need to go and follow up on it and figure it out. Okay? Invest into yourself. If you don't invest into yourself now, you're going to regret it in the future because you're going to have all these millions of dollars, and then you're going to be so sick when you retire, and you're going to pay all the money to the hospital. Thank you. You're keeping us rich. But I really don't care about having your money like that. I'd rather you just basically invest into yourself now so that you don't have to do these things. And to be honest, I can load you up with chemo and all these toxic chemicals. That's what you really want. It seems like that's what people want. Do you really want that? Do you really want to go for a surgery? That's why I talk about prevention. Prevention is I'm passionate about it. Primary, secondary, tertiary. We got to prevent some things, guys. And if you find somebody that's really listening to you, they're really looking at you holistically, not at, okay, well, you're just like everybody else. All your labs are normal. Okay, you can go. Wrong.
In addition to that, I would also say, and this is something we're going to do for Ezra. Ezra's 3 years old. I'm going to be doing my own functional screenings on him. We've got a couple different kinds of hypersensitivities. The ones that I look at are going to be your standard allergic response: itching, scratching, redness on the chest, something that you mentioned, closure of the throat. Okay. And do you have a response that's called a delayed onset response? And this is something that we don't notice unless we're doing exactly what she said. Peanut at a time, not mixing up a smorgasbord for the kids. If delayed onset, it's so easy to slip by us. But what happens is it tears away at the gut first, right? And so the kid will show up as having constipation. And then when they have constipation, you put them on all of these things, and you just keep feeding them the food, right? And so there are tests and screens that you can do for what's called a IgG response, which will tell you about a food sensitivity, not an overt allergy to the food or substance, but it'll tell you about food sensitivities. The great thing about food sensitivities is it can change. I guess that's good and bad, right? Because it can get bad in the future or it can get better. And so even if you do identify some of those things, if we get your gut back in the right place, and I'm talking about even a child, 1 years old, even if we get your gut back in the right place, maybe 3 years down the line, we can start introducing those things back.
Mhm.
An allergy, not so much, but food sensitivities, yes.
Yeah, we went through that with your sister.
Mhm.
Tested her, did all kind of IgG testing, and I requested it. It was not going to do this. I said, no, I think there's something wrong. Every time my daughter goes to the Chinese restaurant, she has a problem. She gets constipated, and it hurt. I'm like, is her appendix ruptured? What's going on here? Because she in pain. The little girl, 3 years old, having pain. I'm like, that's not normal.
Now she's Chinese. She's got all the Asian stuff now. Everything is
And
Asian.
it's weird because she has an alpha thysemia blood trait. She has that blood trait. And I'm like, what?
Calling her, she just has to get unblinded.
Yeah, we can start doing more genetic testing as well too, guys.
As you all were talking, it made me think back. So, my medical background, I have multiple sclerosis, recurring related sclerosis. Also had breast cancer, more. But I found that to say, with the whole journey of having multiple sclerosis, I found that some foods I can't do, like after I so having autoimmune disease that caused a shift in the diet. Even at one point, I can eat watermelon. Now it's like absolutely not vomiting, and so I'm very nauseous. And also, some of my it's challenging for me to eat anyway, just because for the lack of to make it like a slang word or whatever. It's big. My muscles are very lean. So whenever I eat, it's challenging. So some of the foods they just don't digest properly. And then sometimes I'm not hungry. And then if I am hungry, I get full quicker. But having some of the foods that I usually would, because most of my diet is just vegetarian. And every now and then fish. Get very nauseous if I eat too much fish within a week.
Yeah.
So it's just all of that. So I'm just curious to see the
Yeah.
And so what she's describing is gastroparesis,
Yeah.
which is the slowing of the emptying of the stomach. It's kind of like taking semaglutide, right?
Yeah,
The slowing of the and so there's a couple ways that I would like to address that, because one, you may have already had food sensitivities before the actual flare up of the multiple sclerosis, but even thereafter, if you're dealing with gastroparesis, your food is not moving into your bowel very quickly, or not moving down the tract. It's very possible that you're not taking on fiber as well as you used to either. And so there are some foods that we know can cause autoimmune flare-ups, right? So I'll throw those out there now. Tomatoes, it can cause autoimmune flare-ups. Soy products, peanut products, wheat products. For some reason in the United States, you're probably okay eating it outside of the United States.
And I do bread every day in Europe.
Yeah. And nitrates too, right? In Germany, you can eat nitrates, hot dogs.
That's right.
Yeah, but you can't.
Corn products, okay? Corn is not just on the cob, it's in the grits, okay? So a lot of these things, for any of us, it could possibly start a flare-up. But if you add to that, going through what you described already, there's a chance that maybe you have to get your food, the fiber broken down further. Maybe not having a raw diet, but maybe having a higher temperature when you're cooking foods and things like that.
And some of the oils too.
Can I say something that's kind of related but not?
Okay.
We're all in Florida.
Right.
I came from a background working at public for many, many years.
Mhm.
And here's what we don't do. We do not wash our vegetables. I have a problem eating other people's food. Just because I think.
Can I tell you something about that?
Not wash our food. So we're talking about toxicity. You're talking about topical stuff. I see what's happening.
Yeah. Do you know that, are you all aware that the produce is locally raised here? It comes from the farm in Bunnell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I
so,
heard about that.
yeah, so I had a client came in and she wanted an infusion. I said, okay, I'm gonna give you a vitamin infusion, load her up with vitamins. She went home and all these things came out of her. She's like, what is this? I said,
That was my next question I was gonna ask.
she was like, what is this? Why your vitamins? I said, no. I said, they don't like the vitamins. That's why they getting out. They're like, "Oh, we don't like this. Parasites do not like those vitamins.
Yeah, you have to, you gotta watch the products.
Well, how many people do you see walking around Publix just like eating their grapes? They pay for them. You know, yeah, so people do not wash their vegetables.
What? You do baking soda or vinegar.
Yeah.
And it needs to sit there for a minute. The other thing is,
Yes.
pay attention to the normal cycle of fruits and vegetables. Why would you eat watermelon?
And the off season.
And
Right,
Yeah,
that's
so-
true.
what are they doing to harvest that watermelon out of season? You know,
Or even those hybrid watermelons, those hybrid grapes, like what are you mixing it with to make it a different color? Why is a watermelon red anymore?
They call it,
They call it like a hybrid.
You wanna eat what's in season because it goes better with your body.
right.
Absolutely.
Out of season,
By the way, the fruit over there, y'all can eat it. I need to play with the vinegar and the soda. Okay? I'm gonna say something to, going back to the vitamins, we're missing the B12s, okay? We just don't get it from our meat source. And who vegan in here? Where y'all getting y'all B12 from? Where you getting the B12 from?
Well, no, I'm not full. You know.
But where y'all get y'all B12?
You know
What's
I
your
do.
source?
Salmon, right? Salmon.
Where you getting the source from?
Sometimes the shake's still added in there.
Oh, you adding it, you're not getting it.
Right.
Right, we don't produce it naturally at a certain age.
Miss Robin, you had a question?
Yes, I do. I had ulcerative colitis.
I was gonna talk about that.
We'll talk about it.
Gastro.
And it's right in there.
Intrinsic factor is gone. Vital cells, they're gone.
Shoots right out, so I gotta be, go check out all of this stuff that y'all talking about.
Yeah,
Because I know that God is the healer.
he is.
But I'm good, but I just wouldn't wanna, you do the genetic testing and all that stuff, because it's always good to find out what's going on with your body.
It's not normal.
Let's say something about the stomach.
Somebody mentioned the oils. Talk about the endothelial cells,
Uh-huh.
how it's filling up in our bodies, the salt, the sugar, the oils. Go ahead,
So you're referencing the cooking oils?
Yeah.
Right, seed oils.
Oh, my goodness. So, well, let me say this about oils. To kind of blend both of your questions here. So when it comes to fats, has anybody ever eaten bacon and they got more full than they did eating a carrot?
Yeah, yeah.
Why is it that bacon just shuts you down? It's like, oh man, I'm good there. I can go in the towel, right? And so we can eat copious amount of fibrous foods, healthy foods, but something about bacon. Well, the truth is your stomach, the sphincter in your stomach responds to lipids. Lipids is essentially fats. It'll open and close based on how much fats are in the system. If we're filling this sphincter and stomach, we're filling it with terrible greases and oils. Are you aware that when you go out to eat, even if they're cooking in olive oil, they're recooking the same olive oil again, which perpetuates a cycle of oxidization right? Which will cause oxidized LDL and clot up in your arteries. So I have a classic distrust for eating out too. Uh, I don't trust it. Okay, it's got to be from my house.
Black beans and peppers, but sometimes I have to do it. But I'm usually vegan on it. But sometimes I have my two places I go, a vegetarian sub from Publix, and that's it.
So I kind of want to go back into what Robin was talking about, good microbiome and then missing those bridal messengers. And, unfortunately, she's at a disadvantage, okay, because she will never produce her B12 and she will not get that cognitive support that she needs from that vitamin source. So, right. So what they're telling you typically to do is you need to go and take B12 every day, sublingual or some kind of way. It's not good enough for you. You need an injectable or you need a IV form of it and you'll feel better. Mentally, emotionally, as far as anxiety, depression, it will balance you off. I'm telling you, feel 100% better. When I started doing my B12 shots, I was like, oh man, I can remember stuff. I can go take a test now. And it was true. Your memory starts to come back into place. Like you start, and all these college students, we really should try to help them because they're eating. And they're doing Red Bull.
Yeah, Red Bull, yeah.
All that sugar and
I did Red Bull one time. I wanted to, and I wound up in the hospital.
yeah.
That stuff it'll my blood pressure it went sky way up in the sky.
Well, they say
That
Red
thing
Bull gives you
scared me.
wings. What kind of wings you want? Oh, you right over to me.
No, because somebody else
I wanted to have you, I wanted to ask more about with regards to, what are we ingesting that's really making all these different, parasite worms in our bodies? And what can individuals do, healthy wise to kind of deworm themselves?
Get with OJ.
I mean, get some vitamins. I'll load you up. It tastes like licorice. Fennel, yeah.
Yeah, funnel.
Yeah. You do that oil, it'll
Funnel oil.
get it.
Really?
It out. Yeah. I'm telling you, worms don't like
They don't want to
stuff.
be you anyway.
They don't like it.
But that's also like changing
Yeah.
your diet. I mean,
Yeah.
you
That's
don't
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Flaxseed.
So you talked about the vitamins and everything, and I will say this, when I met you, I was just transitioning from learning how to walk again. I was learning to walk and talk around. So I'm just gonna say it.
Go ahead, yeah. Go ahead.
So, I had what they call exacerbation of MS. So after doing treatment with, I had cancer, breast cancer and MS at the same time. Medical professional, so medicine that you give for MS can cause cancer. Medicine that you give for cancer can cause a flare up with the MS. After I met OJ, I told her about all this, and she's like, "Well, let's see." And so I would have bad tremors. People used to think I was nervous. Like, oh my goodness, baby, come. I should never. And I would be like, what's wrong with her? After taking the supplement, the injections and all this different stuff, I was like, okay. And then also going to the Caribbean islands, because I had a contract down there. So of course, everything is different.
Yes.
America, my God, and going into a lot of things are different. So doing different juicing and different stuff and changing my diet completely. But also having the treatment that OJ provided to me. I don't have tremors. I can walk.
Yeah.
I wear heels. I can do all kinds of stuff. All of that, and then having you have to, you talked about insurance and all this different stuff, but if you don't invest in yourself, you have to live with yourself at the end of the day. If you're able to go on trips, you're able to buy all these lavish things, all this different stuff. If you don't take care of your body and invest in it, that's the part about bills. We had a recent conversation about different things. I'm like, yeah, they found another tumor in my brain, so I need to do this and that. It's like, okay. And then the doctors at Shands, I go to Shands. If you're familiar with Shands, is a research hospital. They're like, what are you doing? They told me to do all this different stuff. I'm like, I'm not interested. I don't want to do that because I feel like a buzz hit me afterwards and just I can't function. But the things that I've had with OJ, they're the listen, but off the top of my head, but they're the remedy. And then also changing the diet, making sure I'm focusing at the end of the day, starving my distractions, feeding my focus. Like that's the key.
Right.
And when you have somebody who's a true advocate for you, looking at the labs and looking at and saying feeding and checking you, like, Vicky, why did you do X, Y, Z? Well, you know, hungry. I'm always on the go and I travel a lot. And so I always check in with her.
Yeah.
And so I just felt led to say, like, I don't know what you all have to do, but make it your priority to just follow. Yes, it might seem crazy, but death.
It's a small
You know,
investment.
having the ability to be able to function and do what you have to do. I just, you know, I take heed to what she said, and there's a lot of things, and I found it to be consistent over the years. And I'm a living witness,
Yeah.
and the doctors are like, well, and I'm also the terminal illness. And
Yeah.
I was so excited. I was like, oh, okay, I don't have a nurse checking in on me, asking me, like, how you doing and all this stuff. And then now it takes forever to get an appointment.
Yeah. She tripped me out when she came and said, well, they're gonna take the port out. I was like, excuse me?
I know.
I called. She's like, no, they're taking the port out. I was like, it needs treatment. So I was like, are you sure about that? She's like, yeah. And she had me sticking her. I was like, okay, took the port out, so we find whatever you got left.
Right. That is such a great testimony. That is so amazing. God be the glory. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up. I know we talked a lot about.
Yeah. We'll be back next week, same time, same place.
I know we talked about a lot of things about treatment care. We also talked about epigenesis, about environmental factors that we can change. We talked about hormones. We talked about how you can actually start to focus on your aging process. Is there
If you're older.
Yeah, sure can.
I feel like it's never too late.
I just have
One more question.
Okay.
So, how does, like, the, doing like the facials and stuff like that play a role in, like, how important is it to get facials? Is it just as important as doing like the primary care visits? Or like, is it just something that's more of a luxury that you do?
I don't, okay, it depends on what your skincare goal is, right? If you're in your, so I see I have kids from 15, I have clients to 70. It depends on what your goal is. If you just want to come, I do have people that come in and they're just like, their skin's great. They just want to deep clean, just want to like take that hour to just zen because you're working, you've got family, you've got, you just want the time. And then I have people who come in and they're more like goal oriented, like my teenagers with the act. So to me, that is just important as you going to get your sports physical or going to the doctor. Because what's going on in here has a lot to, and I do talk to them about like, what are you eating? Are you changing your pillowcase? All that, because I touch your face once a month.
Mhm.
You got to go home. You have to do the home care, because I can't come in and perform miracles one time a month. So then I have my older people that I do a lot of. So everything that I do is customized. What Michelle may get is not going to be what you're going to get because your skin is different, your goals are different. Everything's just, I'm like a little scientist in there. Your moisturizers are going to be different. Your enzymes, to get the dead skin off is going to be different. So, I have,
Hand carrying is very important. That's the biggest organ in your body.
yes,
And I'm just gonna tell you, I have had fungals.
Mhm.
People, and I can identify, or somebody who has kidney failure, their skin is really going through a lot. They really do need to see somebody because you gotta keep this together. You can't be going around with little cuts and sores. It's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. I had a senior citizen who came in and she was wounds and all this. And she had all this darkness around her. I said, "Oh, honey, we got to fix that." And she said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Go get some Head and Shoulders."
Yeah.
She got that Head and Shoulders within 3 days. Her skin was beautiful and clear. I was like, "Oh, you look good again." But she said the doctors did not give her an answer. They wouldn't give her treatment, nothing. I said, "Head and
They don't look at it
Shoulders."
like it's that important.
You know that.
But-
Head and Shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't look at it like that's important. But for her looking in the mirror every day,
Oh, yeah.
that's super important. You know what I mean? That's where it comes into like your self-esteem going out into the world, especially if you're working. You don't want to walk around, like walk around like that. So I do feel like it is. I also do like a lot of peptide, peptide facials, peptides plumping. So those fine lines, those wrinkles, plumps that. So yeah, like a lot of my people, my regulars come in once a month. It's like their doctor's appointment. And then I have my kids who I'm like, okay, like 5 to 6 weeks. But what I do with my kids is I'm like, go home and do this because I want to see how responsible you are. My adults, they're gonna be more proactive to be like, okay, I'm gonna do my at-home stuff. But where you get the kids at responsibility, is when they see that change. And then you see that kid that comes in with this, shoulder slumped over because he's got a face full of acne, and then it gives him responsibility. He's doing what he's supposed to do, and then you're coming to see me every about 5 weeks. And now, when you go off to go be a man in life, you know what you need to do. So yeah, I keep it as important as I go to my doctor every 6 months. I do my own facial. It's not fun, but yeah, that's how I look at it.
I think they're all equally important. When you look at the we call conventional, but really is the westernized medical model, we're only looking at the individual systems. So there's 10 systems. One of them is the skin. The skin not only is it the largest organ in the body, it's one of our primary detoxifying agents. It has to come through the skin. If I put you on a liver detox, if I put you on the kidney detox, I'm going to have you soak in Epsom salt to pull all of those toxins out of the body. And so I believe they're all equally important. In addition to that, there's so many different ways that you can identify a problem happening in the body. And we touched on this a little bit, and she did as well. The skin is one of them. If you're dealing with red patches, there's a possibility that the reason that the Head and Shoulders got rid of it is because it's the antifungal. If it's antifungal, we know that candida or yeast is growing in the body, probably in the gut. We need to find it and stop just treating, just the feet and the face. If you're getting dark circles around the eyes, sometimes that's an insulin resistance, sometimes it's genetic, but it's important to know how to look at the skin, how to look at the eyes. All of these are diagnostic. There's a model of medicine that just looks at the eyes.
That's the first indicator right there.
Diabetes, the darkness around the neck.
I was gonna say, it's for me, several years ago, my skin was just drying out, and I was like, oh, I gotta change to do this, gotta change to do that. Went and got a physical done and found out I had hypothyroidism. And once they were able to actually get my levels under control, my skin started to return back to its normalcy. And so, when we're here talking about skin, it's just like the little things where we truly have to remain in tune with our bodies.
I will tell you what. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I just had a question for OJ. What is the age demographic you see in your practice, the youngest you see?
So,
It's like, okay, what do you think about that?
I really try to go adults. I try to go 20 and up, 18 and up. I know it's a in between that 16, 18, I could possibly help, but I generally don't.
I don't do peds either, but We can order the test. It's just not something that I focus on. I focus on family medicine. Now I do have a functional medicine practitioner that treats my son. He's a little distance away, and you'll find that all of these places are cash based. And so what somebody was saying earlier, you do have to be prepared to invest in their health. And you know, while you're there, if you're having issues with vaccines, a lot of times they'll help you with delayed vaccination plans too. And so if that's your child, you may want to get them to a functional medicine provider or a naturopath who does peds.
All right, we're actually going over the time. And, I know we got services that, you guys want to tap into and ask some individualized questions to each one of us, and to be respectful for time, because he did travel quite a distance to get here. I want to make sure that we have enough time to go ahead and have that breakout session. We're gonna go ahead and leave my phone number. I'm 386-336-4229. You can call Vita Lip Infusion and set up your appointment. When you set up your appointment, I'm gonna tell you do an intake form. Send your email, and then we'll send you forms. You fill it out, and then when you talk to me, please don't treat me like I'm your pharmacist. I'm not your pharmacist, I'm your medical provider, which means that I'm looking at you holistically. I'm not really trying to give you prescriptions. I really don't want to. I can, but I really don't want to. So if I can try to help you avoid some of that, I'm going to probably introduce you to some peptide therapy or some of the new advanced stuff that is going to be probably cash pay, and it's going to come from a certified formulary compounder. I'm just going to say that because everybody is not a certified compounder, okay? Dr. Dan?
Yes, so you can find my practice, like I said earlier, in DeLand, Florida, as well as virtually. You'll find it under In Harmony Chiropractic and Functional Medicine, whereby I treat with physical medicine, physically with my hands, but I also treat with meal plans for persons who need it, supplementation based on the lab findings. I don't just give you supplements and, hey, doc, what do I take to make my hair grow better? I'm going to be your physician. I'm going to look at your labs before I recommend anything to you. In addition to that, I recommend specific exercise routines for patients. My phone number is 386-287-2755.
And then you guys can find me right in here. I'm literally right down the hall. I have some cards as well that I will give out to you guys. My number is 386-517-3241.
I got you.
Oh, I know.
I hope you all had a good time.
Thank you, guys. And then it's in church.